If your blood sugars are running high, but you're in the world's prettiest town, is that okay? Hi, I'm Jeremy. Thanks for watching. Well, this was our first morning in Tartu, Estonia. The day began on a sour note as my blood sugar was still high from last night, 232. So when me and Masayo went to the breakfast buffet downstairs, I had a big breakfast and took a big shot. The breakfast was great, and if you remember back in the Åland Islands, our hotel had a breakfast buffet that had hard-boiled eggs of 5 minutes and 9 minutes. Well, not to be outdone, this hotel has 4-minute and 10-minute eggs. Now that's service. Unfortunately, my stupid Humalog shot didn't give me the same service. By lunchtime, I was 285. So I took a little more Humalog and we hit the streets. Our first impression of Tartu yesterday may have been that it was a kind of a gorgeous and inviting place. Well, today we found out that that is definitely true all over Tartu. And we got a richer understanding of the Tartu character. Now, I enjoy walking around a new town with no destination and no guide. Everything's out of context and you just absorb it all for what it is. Are those soldiers handing out balloons? What's with the weird baby man statues? Tartu turned out to be a mix of the randomly creative and the religiously grand. Every little touch and every little space seemed efficient. They were effective. Everything was noble and simple, well ordered. Nothing seemed left to chance exactly. Even the bare trees and the run-down buildings retain a kind of stateliness. Tartu is indeed great stuff. In the town square, next to a famous kissing statue, we saw a real live marriage proposal happening. A couple was standing by the statues, shivering in the cold, and the guy got down on his knees. Me and Masayo seemed to be the only ones who took any notice. Near the marriage proposal, we stopped into a little cafe that was decorated in the classic Tartu style, inspired and crisp. But I was giving my Humalog a chance to do its thing, so I didn't eat anything. Just as we did in Tallinn a few days ago, we went to the town hill of Tartu, which is called Toome Hill, and here I checked my blood sugar and was down to 86. Yet again, a perfect reading for perfect surroundings. Well, kind of perfect. I thought that was a little bit low for the walking, so I ate a little bit of chocolate. The sun was shining through the trees, and you know it's a cold day when sun's been hitting the puddle all day and it's still solid ice. We finally made it to Tartu Cathedral. This is a massive and stately and awe-inspiring structure, even in its decaying state. On one end, you can actually enter the walls and walk around. The middle is kind of a big open, decayed area, and the other end is a museum. A single ticket gets you into the museum and the walls. It was the history of science and learning at Tartu University. It's a small museum, but there are quite a lot of interesting displays. It's a special museum indeed that has displays dedicated to cheating on tests and also a real live human hand from centuries ago, if I understood that correctly. Yikes. A lady that worked at the museum was following us around, and I thought at first she was just making herself super available in case we had any questions about anything, but then I thought maybe she was making sure we didn't take any photos. Now, the walls of the cathedral at the other end that you can walk around in are kind of reminiscent of the Tallinn town walls that we did a couple days ago, but there are some differences. These walls were narrower than the ones in Tallinn, so if you're claustrophobic, be careful. Also, if you're afraid of heights, be careful on these rickety-looking old wooden walkways. Woohoo! Now, I wouldn't recommend dressing up to go inside these walls, but apparently some people do. Now, another main thing about Tartu is that there's a river running through it. And the main thing about this river, to me, is its name. It has the O with a squiggly line over it. The Estonian-only character. So, the name of this river is pronounced something like Emajõgi. No, just kidding. It's Emajõgi. Emajõgi. The proper way to say it, I think, is that you say Emma, and then your jaw drops off, and you go, yeah. Walking along the Emajõgi River is quite amazing. It's almost too nice. Look at these paths. Perfect. You can even eat berries off the trees, apparently. I checked my blood sugar here, and in such perfect surroundings, I expected nothing less than a perfect reading. And I got it, 97. By now it was late afternoon. We went back to the town square, saw these great Tartu-esque touches like the Leaning Building, something actually called the Statue of Liberty, some kind of National Geographic art installation that people hang out on. The town square of Tartu is great, but oh, the odor. Dinner was at a restaurant called Caprice in the town square. I had shrimp pasta with hot chocolate. If that seems heavy in carbs to you, well, it is. But it really hit the spot. After dinner, we found that the town square of Tartu is even more beautiful at night. We walked through the cold, quiet streets back towards our hotel. It's a shame we didn't bring our ping pong paddles with us, but it's too cold anyway. Back in the room, it was dessert time. I had some cinnamon cereal, and fortunately, the peam turned out to indeed be milk. I was afraid it was going to be buttermilk or vinegar or some weird thing like that. I'd have to eat that with my cereal. I also had my first beer of the trip with this dessert. The beer was named after the hotel, or the hotel was named after the beer, something. Unfortunately, all of this proved to be too much for me, and blood sugar afterwards was 282. I took a little more Humalog and we hit the sack, with memories of the world's nicest town echoing in our heads. Good thing and a bad thing about today. The good thing is that we spent all day walking around loveliness itself. The bad thing is that I continue to struggle with these high-carb meals and my Humalog shots. Diabetes thoughts for today. My average reading today was 196. Way too high. And I haven't had any days yet on this trip in which all my blood sugars were under 200. That's gotta change. Well, so far this trip has been all Nordic countries. Estonia is not technically a Nordic country, but it kind of culturally is. Tomorrow, though, we're leaving Tartu and we're leaving Estonia. We're bound for a town that actually sits half in Estonia and half in our next country, the much more Russian-influenced Latvia. Will I have an all under 200 day tomorrow? It's possible.